Your passport says you are a citizen of a country that does not exist, not expired, not invalid, not the wrong country. The right country, your country, the one you were born in and have lived in for 29 years, the one whose anthem you know by heart, even though you have never once voluntarily listened to it. That country. Except when you hand the document to the border officer on a Tuesday morning in October, she looks at it the way people look at something that doesn't compute, not with suspicion, not with hostility, just with the flat, clinical confusion of someone whose system has returned a result that shouldn't be possible. She types something, reads the screen, types again. She says, "Sir, this country doesn't exist." You think she is joking. She's not joking. Border officers do not joke. It is essentially a professional requirement. You say, "I was born there." She says, "I understand that, but it's not in our system." You say, "It's not in your system." She says, "It's not in any system. This is how it starts, not with a bang, not with a flash of light or a moment of obvious wrongness. It starts the way most genuinely disorienting things start, with something small and administrative that shouldn't matter and turns out to matter enormously. A passport, a database, a border officer who is very sorry but cannot let you through because the country on your document does not, according to every record available to her, exist. You stepped off a 16-hour flight 40 minutes ago. You have not slept properly in 2 days. Your name is Leo. You are 29 years old, and somewhere between the departure gate and this desk, the country you come from has apparently ceased to be. They put you in a room, not a bad room, not a cell. A waiting room with plastic chairs and a water dispenser and a window that looks out onto the tarmac where planes are doing what planes do, arriving and departing with the indifferent efficiency of things that don't know anything is wrong. There is a television mounted high on the wall playing a news channel with the volume off and subtitles on. You watch it for a while without reading it, then you read it, nothing about your country, which is not reassuring, which is the opposite of reassuring. A man comes in after 40 minutes. He is from some department you don't fully catch the name of, something with the word liaison in it. He has a badge and a folder and the specific energy of someone who has been trained to manage unusual situations without letting the unusual part show on his face. He sits across from you. He opens the folder. He says, "Can you describe the country for me?" You describe it. The capital, the currency, the neighboring countries, the approximate population, the flag, which has a specific configuration of colors you have seen on government buildings your entire life. You describe the last election and who won. You describe the national football team, which is mediocre in a way that has been consistent for decades and has become a source of cultural identity in the way that consistent mediocrity sometimes does. He writes things down. He says, "And when did you leave?" You say, "Yesterday morning," he says, "and you have lived there your entire life." You say, "Until yesterday morning." He writes more things down. He closes the folder. He looks at you with an expression that is trying to be neutral and is almost succeeding. He says someone will be back shortly. He stands up. He takes the folder with him. He closes the door. You sit in the plastic chair and listen to the hum of the air conditioning and watch the planes outside the window and try to locate, somewhere inside the situation, a foothold. Something solid. Something that makes the shape of this make sense. You have a phone. You try it. The network connects, which is at least one thing that works the way it is supposed to work. You search for your country by name. The search returns results, just not the ones you expect. There are historical references, articles from decades ago, academic papers, the language of things that happened and then stopped happening. The language used for your country is the language used for places that used to be places, former, dissolved, absorbed. The dates on the most recent references are from years you were a child, which means that according to the internet, your country stopped existing before you were old enough to remember it existing. Except you remember it completely, vividly. In the specific high-resolution detail of a life fully lived. Your apartment on the 4th floor of a building on a street you know so well you can walk it in the dark. The bakery on the corner that opens at 6 and sells a specific kind of bread that you have never found anywhere else. Your mother's house, 20 minutes outside the capital. The garden she has been maintaining for 30 years. The smell of that garden in summer, which is something you would recognize in complete darkness from 100 meters away. Your office, your colleagues, your history, all of it. Real, lived. Yours. And according to everything outside this room, none of it is there. The liaison man comes back with a woman this time. She is from a different department, something that sounds more official. She has a laptop. She sits down and opens it and turns it to face you and says she wants to show you something. It is a map, a detailed, current political map of the region you come from. The borders are not what you know. The countries surrounding the space where your country should be are larger than they should be. Their edges extending into territory that in your memory, in your life, in your entire experience of existing in the world, belongs to somewhere else. The space where your country is, the specific geography of it, The rivers and the mountains and the coast and the capital city. That space exists on the map. The land is there. It is just divided differently, claimed differently, named differently, or not named at all in the places where the borders create unclaimed edges. She says, "Does any of this look familiar?" You say, "That's where I'm from." You point to the center of it. "That's where the capital is," she says. "That's currently a disputed territory." You say, "Disputed by whom?" She names 2 countries. Both of them are countries you know. Both of them are countries you have stood at the border of. Both of them are, in your memory, neighbors of your country. Countries you share edges with. Countries your country has agreements and disagreements and football rivalries with. You say, "Those are neighboring countries," she says. "Yes." You say, "They're neighbors of each other in this map," she says. "Yes." You say, "Because my country isn't between them." She says nothing, which is an answer. You look at the map for a long time. The land is right. The mountains are right. The river that runs through the capital is there, unnamed on this map, but there. The specific curve of it that you have crossed on 3 different bridges on 3 different occasions that you can date and describe and attach to specific memories. The land is exactly right. Everything else is wrong. You say, "I need to make a call." They let you. Of course they let you. You are not under arrest. You are not suspected of anything except possibly being confused or lying or both. You call your mother. The phone rings. It rings 6 times, 7, 8. It connects. It connects. She says your name. Her voice is exactly her voice. No delay, no distortion, no indication that the call is traveling to a place that doesn't exist, or to a person who, according to all available records, should not be reachable. You say, "Are you home?" She says, "Of course I'm home. It's Tuesday morning." "Where are you? Your flight landed hours ago." You say, "I'm at the airport. There's been a complication." She says, "What kind of complication?" You say, "What country are we from?" Silence. Not a long silence. 2 seconds. Maybe 3. But a specific kind of silence. The silence of a person recalibrating before responding. The silence of someone who heard a question they did not expect. She says, "What kind of question is that?" You say, "Please just answer it," she tells you. The name of the country. Your country. The right name. The one that is not in any system in this airport. The one that returns historical references and dissolves state language when you search for it. The one that the woman with the laptop says is currently a disputed territory between 2 countries that, in your experience, have always had a third country between them. You say, "Okay." She says, "Leo, what is happening?" You say, "I don't know yet. I'll call you back." You sit with the phone in your hand after the call ends. The liaison man and the woman from the official department are giving you space, which you appreciate, which is also the kind of thing that happens when people don't know what to do with a situation and have decided that space is the least harmful option. Here is what you know. You left a country. You flew for 16 hours. You landed. And between leaving and landing, the country you left stopped being recognized by anyone or anything outside of your own memory, and the woman on the other end of a phone call, who is your mother, and who is standing in a garden that the map says belongs to disputed territory, and who said the name of the country in the same voice she has always used for it, the voice of someone naming a thing that exists. Here is what you don't know. Everything else. You spend 3 hours in that room. They bring you coffee at some point. They bring you a sandwich in a triangular plastic container of the kind found in airports everywhere. The universal airport sandwich, identical on every continent. Somehow, simultaneously, the worst and most reassuring food in the world, because at least it is consistent, at least it is the same. At least the sandwich does not have an identity crisis. You eat it, you think. You think about the nature of existence, not philosophically, practically. What makes a country exist? Recognition, other countries acknowledging it, systems logging it, databases including it. In ULSD and all war, in Major Tali. A country is, at some fundamental level, an agreement. A shared understanding held between enough people and institutions that it becomes real, solid, a fact. And if that agreement breaks, if enough systems and institutions and databases stop holding up their end of it, then the solidity starts to shift. The fact starts to soften, but the land is still there. The people are still there. Your mother is still standing in her garden. The bakery on the corner still opens at 6. The river still curves through what you have always called a capital city, and what this map calls an unnamed point in disputed territory. The land doesn't need the agreement to be land. The people don't need the database to be people. But you, standing in an airport with a passport that no system will validate, need something. You need a foothold, a way through the door that is not opening. The woman from the official department comes back alone this time. She sits down without the laptop. She says, "We've been in contact with some colleagues. There are precedents for this kind of situation. Not common ones, but precedents." You say, "What kind of precedents?" She says, "Disputed territories, unrecognized states, regions with contested sovereignty. There are people in the world who carry documents from places that most systems don't recognize. It creates complications." You say, "I've been carrying this passport for 11 years. I've crossed 17 borders with it. Nobody has ever told me my country doesn't exist, she says. I know. You say, something changed, says, or something was always this way and the discrepancy wasn't encountered until now. You sit with that. The discrepancy. The gap between the world as you have experienced it and the world as the systems record it. Two versions of the same geography, existing simultaneously, neither one able to fully account for the other. You say, what happens to me? She says they are working on a temporary status, something that will allow you to move, to stay somewhere, to not be indefinitely held in a plastic chair with airport sandwiches while departments figure out what category you belong to. You say, and my country, she says, that's a more complicated question. You say, is it there, right now? If I tried to go back, she looks at you, carefully. The look of someone choosing between honesty and kindness and deciding, to her credit, to try for both. She says, the land is there. The people on it are there. Whether it constitutes a country in any formally recognized sense is something that's being discussed at levels above mine. You say, it was there yesterday, she says. I believe you, and there it is. 3 words. Not we've confirmed it, or the records show, or the system has been updated. I believe you, the smallest possible unit of recognition. One person in a room with plastic chairs and a window facing a tarmac deciding to hold up her end of the agreement. It is not nothing. In fact, right now, it is everything. They give you a temporary document. It is the bureaucratic equivalent of a question mark, a piece of paper that says essentially that you exist, and that what you exist as is currently being determined. You are shown to a different waiting area, one with slightly better chairs and access to an actual restaurant rather than a sandwich machine. You are told someone will be in touch within 24 hours. You sit down. You call your mother again. She answers on the second ring. You say, I need you to tell me everything, the street we live on, the name of the bakery, the color of the front door of your house, she tells you. Every detail correct, every detail exactly as you know it. She talks for 11 minutes, and her voice is steady and clear and contains within it the complete texture of a life lived in a place she has never once doubted was real. You listen to every word. You are storing it. Not because you are afraid of forgetting, because recognition is an act you can perform yourself. Because if a country is an agreement, you can hold up your end of it from a plastic chair in an airport. You can carry the bakery and the bridge and the curve of the river and your mother's garden and 11 years of border crossings and the smell of a capital city in summer and the specific mediocrity of a national football team. You can carry all of it. You can be, for a country that no system will log, a system of one. Outside the window, the planes keep moving, arriving from places, departing to places, all of them carrying people who know, or think they know, exactly where they are from, people whose countries exist in databases and maps, and the confident recognition of every border officer they will ever meet. You used to be one of those people. You are still one of those people. The database just hasn't caught up yet. Your temporary document sits on the table in front of you. Question mark on paper. Proof of an existence that the system is still deciding how to file. You pick it up. You look at it. You put it in your pocket next to your original passport. The one with the country that doesn't exist. The one that got you through 17 borders over 11 years. The one that is still, in every way that matters to you, true. 24 hours, they said. You've been carrying your country for 29 years. You can carry it for 24 more hours. You can carry it for as long as it takes. Some things don't need a database to be real. Some things just need someone who remembers them clearly enough to keep them standing. Your mother is standing in her garden right now. The river is still curving through the city. The bakery opens at 6. The country exists. You know this because you were in it. You carry it with you everywhere you go, and no border in the world has ever been able to take that away.